Imagine this. You're lying in bed at 2 in the morning. The room is dark. Your phone is face down. The day is finally over. And then, without warning, your brain reaches back 12 years and plays one specific moment in perfect detail. The room you were standing in. The exact expression on someone's face. The sentence you said. The silence that followed. You can almost feel the embarrassment all over again. Your chest tightens. Your face gets warm. And you think, why do I still remember this? The strangest part is that you have probably achieved hundreds of things since then. You finished difficult work. You helped people. You solved problems you once thought were impossible. You made someone proud. You survived days that nearly broke you. But your brain rarely interrupts your sleep to replay those moments. It doesn't suddenly remind you of the time you handled a crisis calmly. It doesn't force you to relive the day someone genuinely admired you. It doesn't replay your quiet victories in cinematic detail. Instead, it chooses the time you waved back at someone who wasn't waving at you. The joke nobody laughed at. The message you sent to the wrong person. The presentation where your voice cracked. The moment you called someone by the wrong name. Why? Why does cringe feel more memorable than success? Is your brain cruel? Is it secretly working against you? Or is it doing exactly what it was designed to do? The answer begins with one uncomfortable truth. Your memory was not built to make you happy. It was built to keep you safe. Most people imagine memory like a camera. Something happens. Your brain records it. Then it stores the footage somewhere inside your mind. Later, when you remember it, you simply press play. But memory does not work like that. Your brain does not record every experience equally. It filters. It selects. It strengthens some moments and lets others fade. And the filter is not asking, was this beautiful? It is asking, could this matter later? Success often sends a very simple signal. Everything worked. You prepared. You acted. The result was good. From your brain's point of view, there may be very little left to fix. The event is complete. The file can be closed. Embarrassment sends a completely different signal. Something went wrong. They noticed. You lost control. Remember this. That moment becomes mentally expensive because your brain treats it like unfinished business. This is part of what psychologists call the negativity bias. Negative experiences usually receive more attention than equally intense positive experiences. A compliment and an insult may happen on the same day, but the insult often survives longer. You may hear 10 kind comments and one critical remark. By night, which one are you replaying? Usually, the one that hurt. This is not because your brain hates you. It is because throughout most of human history, ignoring danger was more costly than ignoring pleasure. Imagine two early humans walking through the same landscape. One remembers where they found sweet fruit. The other remembers where they heard a predator. Both memories are useful, but only one may determine whether they survived the night. Over thousands of generations, human attention became especially sensitive to threat, pain, failure, rejection, humiliation, anything that could warn us before the next mistake. Embarrassment became powerful because humans are not solitary creatures. We survive through groups. For early humans, belonging was not a luxury. It meant food, protection, warmth, knowledge, help during sickness, safety during danger. Being rejected by the group could become a genuine threat to survival. That ancient system still exists inside you. Your life may be modern. Your embarrassment may come from saying something awkward in a meeting. But your nervous system can still react as if your place in the group has been threatened. That is why social mistakes can feel strangely intense. Your body joins the memory. Your heart speeds up. Your muscles tighten. Your face gets warm. You want to disappear. Your brain marks the moment with emotion. And emotion tells memory, keep this. This is one reason cringe memories feel so vivid. Strong emotion strengthens attention. And attention strengthens memory. When something ordinary happens, your brain may only record a rough outline, but when embarrassment hits, your awareness becomes painfully sharp. You notice who looked at you, who stayed silent, who smiled, what your hands were doing, how long the pause lasted. You may even remember details that did not actually matter. Because your brain was not trying to create a fair record, it was trying to understand a possible threat. Then comes the replay. Later that day, you think about the moment again, then once more while brushing your teeth. Each replay feels like remembering, but it is also rehearsal. Your brain is asking, what should I have said? What did they think? How do I stop this from happening again? This process can be useful. One awkward moment can teach you to prepare better, to listen more carefully, to slow down, to choose your words, to read the room. The problem is that the brain often does not know when the lesson is finished, so it keeps reopening the memory. It studies the same scene from new angles. It creates alternate versions. I should have said this. I should have left earlier. I should have stayed quiet. I should have acted differently. Your brain behaves like a detective working on a case that was solved years ago. This is where learning can turn into rumination. Rumination is repetitive thinking that feels productive but produces no new solution. You are no longer learning. You are circling. The memory is not changing your future behavior anymore. It is only changing your mood. But because the brain still senses emotional tension, it assumes the file must remain open. Success usually does not create the same kind of loop. When something goes well, there is no emergency, no social threat, no obvious mistake to repair. You feel good. Then life moves on. That is why success can sometimes feel emotionally weaker in memory, not because it meant less, but because your brain did not need to study it. Think about learning to drive. You probably do not remember every smooth turn you made, but you may clearly remember the moment you nearly hit something. Thousands of correct actions disappear into normality. One mistake becomes unforgettable. The same thing happens socially. You may have had hundreds of normal conversations. You spoke clearly. People understood you. Nobody judged you. Nothing went wrong. Your brain treats those conversations as expected. Then one sentence comes out wrong. Suddenly, the entire event receives a red warning label. There is another reason success fades. We adapt to it. Good things feel powerful at first, then they quickly become part of normal life. You achieve something you wanted. For a few hours or days, it feels extraordinary. Then your brain updates its expectations. What once felt special becomes part of your identity. You stop thinking, I did something amazing. You start thinking, this is just what I do now. Success becomes invisible because it gets absorbed into your sense of normal. Cringe resists that process. It remains unusual. It violates the image you have of yourself. You think, I'm usually smarter than that. I normally know what to say. That wasn't me. The gap between who you believe you are and how you behaved creates psychological friction, and friction makes memory sticky. Your brain hates inconsistency. It wants a clear story about who you are. When you succeed, the event may fit your preferred identity. I'm capable. I'm prepared. I can handle this. Nothing needs to be explained, but embarrassment creates a contradiction. If I'm confident, why did I freeze? If I'm careful, why did I say that? If I'm socially aware, why didn't I notice? Your brain replays the memory because it wants to repair the story. It is trying to decide whether the moment was an exception or evidence. This is where one embarrassing event can become dangerous. Not because of what happened, but because of the meaning you attach to it. One awkward conversation becomes, I'm bad with people. One failed presentation becomes, I can't speak in public. One rejected idea becomes, I'm not creative. One social mistake becomes, everyone finds me strange. The brain prefers simple rules because simple rules are easy to remember. But simple rules are often wrong. A single event is turned into an identity. That is not memory anymore. That is interpretation. And interpretations can become self-fulfilling. If you believe you are awkward, you begin monitoring yourself more closely. You think about every gesture, every pause, every word. You become less natural, more tense, more distracted. Then the conversation becomes harder. And if anything goes wrong, your brain says, see, I was right. This is how one old cringe memory can influence new situations years later. The memory becomes a warning. The warning creates anxiety. The anxiety changes your behavior, and the changed behavior creates new evidence. But there is something important your brain rarely tells you. Other people probably do not remember your embarrassing moment the way you do. This is related to what psychologists call the spotlight effect. We often overestimate how much other people notice and remember our behavior. Inside your mind, you are the center of the scene. You felt every second. You heard every word. You experienced the embarrassment from the inside. But everyone else was experiencing the same moment from inside their own life. They were thinking about themselves, their appearance, their next sentence, their own mistakes, their own worries. The moment that became a permanent memory for you may have been a 5-second detail for them. Some people may not have noticed at all. Others noticed and forgot. And even those who remember may not judge it as harshly as you do. You see evidence of personal failure. They may see something completely human, a nervous moment, a harmless mistake, an awkward but forgettable interaction. You are often remembering not only what happened, but how it felt. And feelings can make events look larger than they were. Memory is also not fixed. Every time you recall something, you slightly reconstruct it. You do not pull an untouched file from storage. You rebuild the moment using fragments, images, emotion, assumptions, current beliefs. This means repeated cringe memories can become distorted. You may become more certain that everyone noticed, more certain the silence lasted longer, more certain people judged you. The memory grows sharper emotionally, even if it becomes less accurate factually. In other words, you may not be replaying the original moment anymore. You may be replaying the version your anxiety has edited over time. Success can also be edited, but often in the opposite direction. You minimize it. You say, "I got lucky. It wasn't that difficult. Anyone could have done it. They were just being nice." You remove your own effort from the story. You explain away the achievement. Then you wonder why it does not feel memorable. Your brain remembers the meaning you repeatedly assign. If success is dismissed, it weakens. If embarrassment is analyzed, repeated, and emotionally rehearsed, it strengthens. This creates an unfair archive. Your mistakes are stored in high definition. Your achievements are compressed. So how do you change this? Not by forcing yourself to forget. The harder you try not to think about something, the more attention you often give it. Instead, you change the way the memory is processed. The first step is to name what is happening. This is not proof that I'm embarrassing. This is my brain replaying a socially threatening memory. That small shift matters. It separates you from the story. The second step is to ask a better question. Not, "Why am I like this?" Ask, "What did this actually teach me?" If there is a useful lesson, keep it. Maybe you learned to prepare, to pause, to apologize, to communicate more clearly. Once the lesson is identified, the memory no longer needs to remain a mystery. Then ask, "Is this lesson still useful?" Sometimes the answer is yes. Often the answer is no. You already changed. You already learned. You are no longer the same person who made that mistake. The brain may be protecting you from a danger that no longer exists. The third step is to restore balance. When your brain presents one embarrassing memory, deliberately remember one moment of competence. Not fake praise, not empty positivity, real evidence. A conversation you handled well, a problem you solved, a time you showed courage, a moment you recovered after making a mistake. This is not about pretending failure never happened. It is about correcting the archive. Your life contains more than warning signs. It also contains proof of growth. The final step is self-compassion. This does not mean excusing everything. It means recognizing that embarrassment is part of being socially alive. You cannot participate fully in life without occasionally saying the wrong thing, misreading a moment, taking a risk that fails, looking foolish. People who never experience embarrassment are often not avoiding mistakes. They are avoiding exposure. They do not speak. They do not try. They do not risk being seen. Cringe is sometimes the emotional cost of participation. It proves you entered the room. You spoke. You tried. You cared. The people who replay embarrassing moments are often not careless. They are often deeply self-aware. They want to do well. They want to be understood. They care how they affect others. Those are not weaknesses. But without balance, self-awareness can become self-punishment. Your brain's protective system can become overprotective. It can keep sounding an alarm long after the fire is gone. So the next time your mind suddenly replays something embarrassing from years ago, pause. Do not fight the memory. Do not automatically believe it. Look at it for what it is. An old warning. A lesson your brain once thought you needed. Then remind yourself, I survived that moment. I learned what I needed. And I am allowed to move on. Your brain remembers cringe more than success because mistakes once carried survival value. Because emotion strengthens memory. Because social rejection feels threatening. Because unfinished moments stay mentally open. Because success often gets absorbed into normal life. But the memory is not a verdict. It is not your identity. It is not proof that everyone remembers. And it is not a command to keep suffering. Sometimes the most mature response to an old mistake is not another hour of analysis. It is closure. Your brain may keep opening the file, but you can decide whether it still deserves your attention. And maybe the real sign of growth is not forgetting every embarrassing thing you have done. Maybe it is finally being able to remember it, without becoming the person you were in that moment. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden psychology behind this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Human Static, and share it with someone whose brain might be doing the exact same thing. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's one embarrassing memory your brain just refuses to let go of? We'll see you in the next Human Static documentary.